We learnt a lot as a result of the research that we did into 5 industry networks or clusters as part of the project that Julia has referred to. When we give our reports, those networks or clusters will be anonymous, but as HunterNet has already been named as a leading cluster, I need to let you know that HunterNet was one of those clusters that we looked at. And I guess in a sense, HunterNet was our control, because HunterNet is manifestly such a successful, nationally recognised industry cluster. As Julia has said, we were interested in particular from the point of view of creative industries and the opportunity that industry clustering had to bring together organisations that aren't even SMEs. A lot of them are micro businesses with all of the challenges that that implies. The opportunity to bring those people together to work collaboratively, to share resources, to share knowledge and to get better outcomes. So that was our impulse. The purpose of the research was to test some success factors, if you like, and to be very useful in providing reports to those participating organisations to indicate to them where we felt they were achieving and the danger points, if you like, or the weaknesses that we felt they needed to address. I want to look at one aspect in particular, which is member value. As you may have gathered, we interviewed, I think, between 8 and 12 people from each of the participating networks or clusters. And of course, we got varied responses. But I was particularly interested in the way member value was put as a proposition. Buy-in from members is critically important. But the way clusters or the founders of clusters approach that issue varies a great deal. The beginning stage of anything is difficult. HunterNet are now 22 years down the track. They've had an excellent opportunity to test different approaches and to find something that works. Although what struck me in interviewing those HunterNet people is that they don't rest on their laurels. They continually say, will this approach still work? Do we have to look at things differently? And overwhelmingly, they say, before we make any decision, especially about commitment of resources, we ask the question, what is the benefit to our members? If there is not a direct benefit to our members, we're not going to do it. We are a member-based organisation. We are member-driven. It was almost like a mantra. It was very impressive indeed. The other cluster that I looked at was at the very end of the continuum. They were beginning. They'd been in existence for not quite a year at the beginning of the interview process. And they were a little confused. There was some creative uncertainty happening, and I think they're a very successful network. But the issue of membership, I think, is a weakness for them. I realised this quite personally when I took on the role of addressing this group. Evelyn was a member of the organisation and she said, it's better if you interview them, Claire, because you have some distance, you are disinterested. I said, I'm really happy to do that. About 6 interviews in, I realised I was a member. I was a member of this organisation. I had paid my money and I'd got an email back saying, you're a member, thank you. And I tucked that receipt away for my tax accountant. And I had not heard another word from the organisation. That's not to say I wasn't impressed by the work they were doing. I wasn't aware of what they had achieved. But in terms of my buy-in, nothing was happening. Now, that may not matter to them. If they want to operate as a tight-knit, focused, elite group, that's fine. But that's not the impression I got when I was talking to them. And the great thing is that they were aware that the value proposition to put to members was an area that they needed to address. So they needed to develop a proposition to members so that members felt included and felt that there was some purpose. John has spoken about common purpose and the importance of that in beginning a cluster. You know, clusters don't begin because maybe it would be a good idea and it would be nice to catch up from time to time. There needs to be either a crisis or an opportunity according to our research, to bring people together, to give them that motivation to say, yes, I want to give my time, I want to open myself to the risk of commercial inconfidence, whatever, and work with other people in a highly competitive environment in order to get somewhere. So one of my take-home messages was you need to know if you're a member-based organisation. If you are, and I think clusters ought to be, you need to have a good, compelling value proposition to put to those members, and members must feel committed, must feel involved. That's the message. Now over to Evelyn for another take-home.
Thank you, Claire. So I guess you're saying it's buy-in is necessary for them to get together in the first place. And I think that's something you've never had a problem with at HunterNet, because, in fact, they go to each other's organisations for the monthly meetings. And because it got so large, 200 people in one small firm often was quite a problem, wasn't it? So, because they also foot the bill for the drinks and food, I think. So, yeah. OK, so now for our third and final panel member, which is Evelyn King. She works in the field of economic development with a special interest in the contribution that creative industries and cultural enterprise can make to urban revitalisation and jobs growth in the economy of towns and cities. Over to you, Evelyn.